Green interwebs, it's Jack and K, and welcome for another edition of the Pokemon Go Fireside Chat. Today I actually have a retrospective in mind for y'all. I know lately it's usually been editorials and game chill and stuff not even related to Pokemon Go, but my podcast backlog is up. And I need something for next week, so I don't think I have quite enough time to take a deep dive into one of the many editorial topics I have in mind. And considering what has recently happened in Pokemon Go, I figured it's a good time to take a retrospective approach. Specifically in regards to Abra Community Day. If I'm going to go back to retrospective on anything, this is an especially good one to talk about, because with the way the world has changed, with many governments and just overall societal changes to better combat COVID-19, it was not a good time to send people out into the open all together, clustered up, to all play together. Honestly, when I first heard that Abra Community Day was postponed because of all this, I assumed that we weren't going to get another Community Day for a long time. At best, we'd get similar events. Incense Day is a good example of that. Kinda wish I had time to actually do retrospective on Incense Day. But it's not too much, so maybe I'll just squeeze it in here. I enjoyed it, and it's a perfect time to experiment around with exactly what you can do with the coding that makes up the Incense item. When COVID really started impacting the United States in particular, Niantic really pushed the ball to try to make Pokemon Go still playable within the social distancing laws, requirements, and recommendation the world has put out. And changing the way Incense work, I believe, was literally one of the first things they changed. An Incense normally was a very useless item in the Pokemon Go community. I personally found it a little useful for community days just to get a few extra spawns here and there. But they really buffed the way that Incense work in Pokemon Go. The way Incense used to work is they last for 30 minutes, and if you're walking fast enough you can get a spawn every minute, but usually you only get a spawn about every 5 minutes. Yeah, a quick Google search later pretty much confirmed my suspicions. They last only 30 minutes, and if you're just sitting around or not moving at all, you get one spawn every 5 minutes, so you would at most get 6 spawns from a single instance. If you are walking fast enough, you can get a spawn every minute. This particular source I'm looking at says one Pokemon every minute, or for every 200 meters traveled. From the way I understand it, they basically buffed Incense by taking away that walking cap, so you pretty much get a spawn every single minute regardless. And just overall feels like you get way more Pokemon out of the spawns. Oh, and they also increase how much Incense lasts, so instead of lasting half an hour, they now last 1 hour. In addition, real early on, they had a bundle where you got 30 Incense for a single Pokecoin. So they were really pushing the whole use Incense to stay at home more, which, if you've been following Pokemon Go and know the core values of the game, would appear to go completely against what Pokemon Go is all about. Getting out there, walking with other people, and then you introduce this mechanic that just allows you to sit at home and get spawns all day. Goes to show how they're willing to make sacrifices on their core values to some degree in order to assure that players on complete lockdown aren't completely left out. And they've been making a whole lot of other changes along the way, but that's an editorial idea I'll visit at the other time. I just wanted to go on that tangent because it's real important to understand how Incense Day work. Without these changes to Incense Day would not have worked, especially with the stay-at-home mindset. For a quick overview of what Incense Day is, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. local time, They fine-tuned Incense to work in a very particular way. Every hour would spawn a different type of Pokemon. When I say type, I don't mean species, I mean like literally water, fire, grass, psychic, bug, and ground for each of the hours. And there was particular Pokemon from that pool that would pop up, including valuable ones that may not pop up as frequently, but usually you're guaranteed at least one, unless you're really unlucky. The 11 to 12 frame is Water-type Pokemon. Clamperl was the special spawn of the set, and also included Pokemon like Spio, which is really useful for people who got stuck on the Genesect research, because the whole stay-at-home situation. Poliwag and Tentacle, and I believe there was more. The 12 p.m. hour frame had the special spawn of Litwick, but also included Pokemon like Growlithe, Houndour, and Ponyta. Ferroseed was a special spawn of mine for the grass event, and also included Pokemon like Lileep, Oddish, and Roselia. 2 to 3 focused around psychic Pokemon. The one to really point out here is Gothita, which was a spawn of a previous event, but not as frequent as Solosis, so there's a lot of people who weren't able to get enough candies to finish the evolutionary line, like myself. I am proud to say that this Incense event allowed me to actually get those spawns that I needed to complete that family. Other psychics to look out for were Baltoy, Bronzor, and Slowpoke. We'll come back to that. There's some stories I have with that. 3 to 4 was a bug hour, which honestly seemed a bit lackluster, but there was a special spawn focused around Joltik. Now, whether or not if that's good is probably really dependent on how you play Pokemon Go. For me in particular, I always wanted to use a Joltik for Great League. It's honestly not even the top meta of Great League, but it has an interesting move pool on some specific niches. Plus, Joltik is just a cute little boy. Like, it was Snob before Snob was a thing. I said it. It is a Thunder Snob, and you can't convince me otherwise. If you're shiny hunting, though, it was worth keeping your eyes open for Caterpie and Skoruby, because those two spawns can be shiny. Plus, Skoruby's evolved form does have a niche in PvP as well, so not completely worthless, but there was a lot of Pokemon like Ladybug that didn't have a shiny and not exactly the most valuable. I think if I was looking at this from an unbiased standpoint, I would say Bug was probably one of the weakest hours of the event, but it's very hard to make Bug Pokemon exciting, I gotta admit. There's exciting Bug Pokemon, so it's definitely possible, but if you want to include common spawns, for some reason the Bug-type Pokemon common spawns tend to be the least exciting out of common spawns. Maybe location is part of it. Let me know, either on Twitter or through a reply, if you find Bug Pokemon spawns exciting. Like, you don't get too many Bug Pokemon normally, because I can't think of people who don't in that situation. Even people who enjoy Bug-type Pokemon, I feel get Bug-type spawns frequently enough. Tangent aside. 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock was for Ground-type Pokemon. The Pokemon in particular they highlight was Drillbur, which I actually find kind of surprising, because I don't normally live in a ground biome, but usually as long as I go out to a public area, or like a college campus or something, I have fairly good luck finding Drillbur. Like, it seems one of the more common of uncommon spawns to me. But it is a valuable Pokemon for raiding, and it has a niche in certain PvP formats, so it's not a bad Pokemon to highlight. I'm just surprised, because it didn't seem like a rare Pokemon to me. Excuse me. But in addition, we were getting spawns like Barboach, Hippolytas, both of those can be shiny, by the way, as well as Wooper. Honestly, Wooper is probably the, what's the term? The ones people didn't want, but I'm always down for Wooper. Wooper's a good boy. Even though he's like one of the weaker mud boys, I'll still find excuses to use a Quagsire every now and then. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about the biggest part about this entire event. In addition to these spawns, Sentries were also appearing on the Incense. And Sentries does have a chance to be shiny. This makes a good segue into my personal experience with this event, because I was a little worried, to be honest. I was a little worried that I would get nothing but shiny Sentries. And in the past, I already have more shiny Sentries than I care to know what to do with. Because I forget which event, but it might have been the one where Sentries was first introduced. I pretty much got like 3 shiny Sentries in a single night. And as exciting as that was, it made me a little bit worried that I wouldn't get anything exciting out of this event. But I think they did a good job balancing it on the way that there was things to shiny hunt for, but also things that were still valuable to get, even if you weren't lucky with RNG. So that's good in of itself. Personally, I did stay home for the majority of the time. I did walk before this event started to stock up on items and that. And honestly, the water event didn't really excite me too much because I got plenty of clan pearls from the clan pearl research event. So I kind of didn't start running my incense until the very end of the hour. There was 5 minutes left, and yet I still managed to get a clan pearl. Not shiny, but did give me hope that the quote-unquote rare spawns they had wouldn't be that bad. Because if you weren't following the news, they worded the rare spawns from this Incense Day as if you're extremely lucky. Which usually when they say if you're extremely lucky for an event, that means you're not going to find it. How do you know? But that's pretty good. Started my incense more so on the fire end side. And actually got quite a few lit wicks. I forget exactly how many off the top of my head, but I want to say 3. Which, considering that they were supposed to be quote-unquote extremely rare, I say is pretty good. Especially because that was the thing I was most excited about from the fire event hour. Granted, there's a lot of shinies in that list that I don't have, including pretty much all of them. Don't have a shiny Growlithe, don't have a shiny Houndour, don't have a shiny Ponyta, at least in Pokemon Go. And while I did find plenty of those Pokemon to catch, I'm just happy that I was able to get some extra Litwick candies. Because my Candelures definitely need some more powering up. I just have not been finding enough candy, and it just couldn't justify spending rare candy on them quite yet. Forget if it was during the fire hour or the grass hour, but I did get a shiny Sentret out of that. And a few Feral Seeds, I suppose. I wasn't exactly excited for Feral Seed, but it's kind of growing a niche in PvP since this move pool got updated. And I always have Feral Seed on the back of my mind because of just how good it tends to be in the main series game, especially in the meta for the generation that it first came out in. So I still have a feeling that Feral Form may have a niche in one of the PvP leagues eventually. But I wasn't dying to get any more candies for them. Especially because they basically fed us Feral Seeds during one of the last research breakthroughs. The Psychic event hour treated me well. Like I said, I caught enough Galfitas to actually finish my evolutionary line. I think I got 5 or 6 within the hour, which I was pretty impressed with. And I managed to find a shiny Baltoy, which is a shiny Pokemon I don't have yet. So that alone made the particular hour exciting. You can bet your butt that I was excited every time a Joltik popped up during the bug type hour. But in comparison to how much they've been feeding us Joltik for this friendship event, is not even fair to compare. I can't even remember how many that I got during this hour, because it's just, no matter how big that number was, it will always be underwhelming between how well the Joltik candy gods have treated me during this current buddy event. Joltiks are freaking everywhere right now, and I couldn't be happier. Last but not least was the ground hour. Feels like I saw plenty of Barples and Whoopers. Not as many Drillburs as I like, But like I said, I'm not too worried about Drillbird, because once the world gets back to normal and I can go back to playing Pokemon Go at the college campus, I get the feeling I'll be able to go back to stocking up on Drillbirds. I'm willing to wait. I got enough X-Drills that I'm willing to wait to either evolve a new one or finish powering up the old ones. And I was actually a good boy, a good member of society for this event. Because for the majority of it, I just stayed home and watched streams. Shoutouts to JT Valor and TRG Direct for killing pretty much all that time during that Incense Day event. I can think of a more happier way to actually play that event, honestly. Like, sure, it'd been nice to go out and walk, but especially TRG Direct was just an amazing stream that I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I know last year, the Throne Controller event that the Runaway Guys host took place on the same day as that Regigigas special research, and I'm still hating, well, hating's not the wrong word, but I'm still regretting not spending more time watching that stream because I was taking part in the Regigigas event. That's just how much I enjoy those streams. It only happens once a year, and it's always fun to do. So it's nice to actually, I think playing Pokemon Go and being able to watch that at the same time, I couldn't ask for anything more. Let me tangent a little bit more just to try to bring you guys into the loop of what I'm talking about with TRG Direct, Throne Controllers, Coliseum, and all that. A YouTube collab group I watch called The Runaway Guys. For the past 3 years, they've been doing a video game themed charity stream where all the proceeds raised during the event go to direct relief, which I think more than ever is a vital charity to give money to. They're well known for pretty much addressing natural disasters all around the world, and with COVID-19 being such a strong force in our society, you can bet that they're putting a lot of efforts in trying to make the world a better place during this era of COVID. Including, but definitely not limited to, getting face masks for people on the front lines, or people in just real need of relief at a time like this. There's a lot of people who are homeless or in a financial situation where they can't afford to eat, and which makes it more of an important time than ever to actually donate to a charity in that. TRG Direct is kind of a spin-off, kind of a sequel to the Throne Controllers or Runaway Guys Coliseum that they've done in previous years, because usually a big standing point of the Runaway Guys Coliseum is that they all get together and bring all their friends together all in one place to host these video game themed events and do donation incentives and etc. But this is kind of not a good time for that sort of physical interaction, so they were forced to kind of change the event drastically. I know I kind of contradicted myself saying, but the point is, people aren't allowed to fly around at a time like this, and it's not a good idea to get a bunch of people together in one place anyways. So what they did instead was basically all the members that were normally involved in this sort of event each host their own block, inviting some of the other content creators via Skype into their event as well. I think that most people that were in the same room at one time was some of the music blocks, but that's a particular exception because from my understanding, those people are roommates already. So they already were living together before COVID was a thing. But overall, it really led to a lot of different content than you normally get to see for the Runaway Guys Coliseum. And I think the most amazing part of all this was this is one of the more shorter days, or this was only 3 days when in the past they used to do like either 4 or 5. And yet we've raised more money for Child's Play this year than any of the previous years. Definitely over $200,000 going directly to direct relief. On top of just how much fun and positive energy is vibing during an event like this. Hearing that much money go to a charity at a time like this is something that I think we really all need to hear. Just need more good news to go around the world and all that. Sorry, that was quite a bit of a tangent, but I kind of saw how long I was talking just about Incense Day, and I figured, like, screw it, I'm gonna just make this its own podcast. Let's try this again. I know the last time I did a podcast, I said I was going to do Abra Community Day for a retrospective, and kind of got on a tangent. With the Incense Day for so long, I figured, you know what? I need to assure that I have a podcast for Monday. We'll just make this his own thing. And now that I don't got any other previous events in mind, let's focus on Abra Community Day. Like I began to say in the last episode, this Community Day was quite different from Community Days in the past because of how the world has changed. And I'll be honest, despite the fear of being repetitive, I was concerned that we would not get another Community Day for a long time. The whole concept of Community Day just seemed to be the exact opposite of what the world needs at a time like this. Yet, instead of just canceling Abra Community Day altogether, or postponing it until the world was in a better state, they managed to adjust it into a way to make it perfectly playable from home for those that weren't able to go out and play, while still making it enjoyable for those who do have the luxury of being able to take a socially distanced walk. Yeah, I feel dirty for saying this, so I'll just get it off my chest now. I did go walk to play Pokemon Go Community Day. I practiced all the rules and regulations that were for my particular state, including keeping 6 feet, 200 meters apart from other people. I probably even did double that, as well as wear a face mask. But man, I just miss walking while playing Pokemon Go for so much. So I'm sorry if my personal experience with Pokemon Go isn't possible in your area. As a retrospective, I'm going to be focusing around my personal experience, but I will cover some of the points and talk about in general why I thought this was a good event for people who were unable to play anywhere besides their own house. I'm sorry if I sound a bit awkward right now. I'm bad at hiding my awkwardity. My company is still considered an essential business, so life hasn't really changed as much for me as I kind of guilt myself into thinking that it should be. So I do still have to go out and work every day. I'm at least working in an office with plenty of space from other people. But I don't want, if I go into any more of that, that's going to be a whole tangent rant in of itself. If you're really curious about that stuff, check out Game and Chill. I'm pretty sure I've dove into more details of that than I like to admit, at least once or twice. But yeah, I get the feeling of guilt real easily, so that's why I'm feeling awkward about all that. Before I go into my experiences and all that though, let's take a little bit to just break down exactly what was going on for this Community Day. Starting out with the elements that this Community Day shared with previous Community Days. Being Abra Community Day, it was focused around the Pokemon Abra. Not only did we finally officially get the shiny Abra into Pokemon Go. I say it like that because technically in Go Fest, there was a mistake made where shiny Abra was accidentally released for a couple hours or so. But now it's an official shiny in the game. And if you evolve it up to Alakazam, you get an exclusive move. And honestly, that's about where the similarities end. One of the bigger differences is instead of it being a 3-hour event, it was a 6-hour event. So if you were stuck at home with only house spawns, you did have more opportunities to catch Abras, find the shiny, and more so. Typically, Community Day would take place either from 11 to 2 p.m. if you're in the part of the hemisphere where that's a more appropriate time to play, or from 2 to 5 p.m. where that's a more appropriate time to play. But I guess for this event, they just combined the 2 blocks into one for a 6-hour event. In addition, they were still doing the whole you can evolve the Pokemon up 2 hours after the event ends and still get the exclusive move. So you basically had no excuse to get the exclusive move onto Alakazam, minus the fact that the exclusive move was Counter. Mind you, that does sound insane on the surface. Giving a Fighting Quick move to a Psychic-type Pokemon? Why? Well, Counter is actually a really good energy-gaining move, so it's got that going for it. It doesn't quite cancel out the fact that you would still want Stab if you were planning on using an Alakazam in raids or in gyms. But considering that Mewtwo already exists in this game and is a far superior Psychic type, I can see why they're going from this angle. They're not trying to make a Pokemon to outcompete Mewtwo. I don't think they could make Alakazam stronger than Mewtwo simply by giving it a move, no matter what the move may be. So instead, they gave it a Community Day move to help it out in PvP. So not only does it have a fast, quick move that gets it energy for its charge attacks real quickly, having that Fighting type quick move gives it coverage that Alakazam and Psychic types in general normally wouldn't have. Alakazam does surprisingly good work against all the Steel types in the PvP scene. Between having Fire Punch for a charge move and Counter for a quick move, a Pokemon that would normally wall a Psychic type becomes one of the top things for an Alakazam to fight against. That's basically what I've been reading up. The ideal moveset you want for an Alakazam if you're taking into PvP includes Counter for the quick move, Shadow Ball, and Fire Punch for your charge moves. I know it seems weird to not have a Psychic type move on a Psychic type Pokemon, but that's just the way the meta's been shaping in the Go Battle League lately. Also, if you're going to only have one Alakazam for PvP, I believe you should bring it for Masters. That's at least what all the guys are recommending, and considering what I know about the way Great and pretty much any league that restricts attack works, it makes sense that Alakazam shines the best in the Master League. I do have a very good shiny Abra for the Great League though. I just managed to catch it with really good IVs for Great League. And it's even at the exact level it needs to be, so I don't even have to invest any Stardust in powering it up. So I do plan on making some videos eventually, showcasing Alakazam in the Great League. We'll see if it does any good though, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, I know it seems strange to not have a Psychic-type Pokemon have a Psychic-type move, but I could spend a whole podcast just talking about why that is. The short answer is just the way the meta works, and I'll leave it like that until I have the opportunity to talk more about it. Like maybe that Alakazam video if it ever comes out. Anyways, I need to get off this tangent and back onto Alakazam/Abra Community Day. Otherwise, I'll spend all day off tangent. So, I think the next huge change for this stay-at-home edition of Community Day was the change of making lures last for 3 hours. Instead, Incense now lasts for 3 hours. As I've said in the past podcast, Incense already got a huge buff with all the little changes that make them spawn Pokemon more often, as well as lasting double the time they normally would, before COVID kind of forced people to change the way that they interact in their daily life. But yeah, now you have an Incense that lasts for 3 hours, so you could, even if you have one Incense, you can still get a full Community Day out of it. Not only are Incense super cheap, if you've been playing this game on a semi-regular basis, you should still have a good stockpile of Incense, because of that 30 Incense bundle that they gave us real early on in this whole what I like to call at least, change in the world event. In addition, I think they've snuck a couple extra incense our way once or twice. Even if you somehow blew through all those incense, I believe that they're in the shop for like 40 or if not 20 coins. So it's super cheap to get one if you just want to play a community. Alternatively, if you need to spend money to get incense anyways, there was the Investigating Illusions event that they did, which did include a couple incense. The major downside was you weren't able to put poke coins into it, so you did have to buy it for $1. But once you got the event, you complete the first step of that event, and you have your spawns taken care of for the entirety of the rest of your community day. Because you pop that Incense, it lasts you 3 hours. That should give you enough Abra spawns to get through the rest of the community day event and take part in the event in general. Now I'm just going to spoil the rest of the Investigating Illusions event, because at this point it's impossible to get a hold of it anyways. But it's $1, it's not really anything too special, but you definitely get your money's worth out of the items you get from completing the research in and of itself. For the first one, you get some Pokeballs, Stardust, the Incense I was talking about earlier, a couple Abra spawns along with the candy itself. The second step gets you some more Abra candy, a chance to catch a Kadabra, along with more Stardust, another Incense, and a Poffin. The third step gets you even more Abra candy, 5 golden raspberries, more Stardust, another Incense, and a Rocket Radar. And the final step gets you some silver Pinap berries, Stardust, a couple rare candies, and a shot to catch an Alakazam. So yeah, even if you can't... I think the downside of this is, I don't know if I kept my Alakazam from the Investigating Illusions research. I should double check to see if that Alakazam actually knows counter. I don't think it does, and that would be the major downside of this. Even though it's specifically a community day related event, the Alakazam I don't believe knows counter. But mind you, if you've been going through with the rest of this research, if you've been able to complete this Investigating Illusion event, you should have gotten enough Abras and Abra candy to make that final evolution. I'm a little hesitant to bring it up because this is not really the time for socialization, but just to make sure no one asks why I didn't bring it up after the fact, yes, there is also the alternative of trading Abras to skip the candy that you need to evolve it from Kadabra to Alakazam. So I guess if you're living home with a significant other that plays the game, or stuck at home with other Pokemon Go players, that's another workaround that you can do to get around the possibility of not being able to get as many Abras as you'd like. Just from the luck I've had at home before I went out and walked though, I think you'll be okay. Okay, so that takes care of everything tied to the $1, I would call it DLC for Community Day, because it's by no means required in order to enjoy Community Day, but I do think you get more than your money's worth out of it, both in the literal sense and in an experience sense. And now to get back on all the stuff you can do for free on Community Day, I didn't even talk about the bonus. They actually did a 3x Stardust for catching bonus for this Community Day. So yeah, as long as you had an Incense, even if you didn't care about Abra at all, this was still a fantastic event to play, just because Stardust is so valuable in this game. Whether you like to do raid bosses, take part in PvP, my god, do you need Stardust for PvP? Even Go Battle League. So yeah, definitely appreciate that. Also, if your Pokemon buddy was of the level of Great Buddy or higher, they would bring, quote, helpful items such as Pokeballs throughout the event. My god, did they underplay this. Like, every half hour, starting of when Community Day started, my buddy would bring me a range from 50 to 52 Pokeballs every half hour. And just flood my inventory, like to the point of, in the past, I'd be lucky to have more than 100 Pokeballs for the past couple weeks. Now I'm sitting at over 250 Pokeballs, let alone the Great Balls and Ultra Balls I've been saving up. And I just can't seem to get rid of them. Well, with the way I've been playing lately. I'm not quite sure why sometimes we get like 50 Pokeballs and sometimes I get like 52. I think it must have been a bug on the game's end or just some visual display of like maybe it's a set amount to try to keep your inventory at a certain amount of Pokeballs at any particular time. But either way, I'm not complaining about an extra Pokeball or two. Last, I think one of the coolest additions was as followed: take a snapshot during Community Day for a surprise. Spoilers, the surprise was an Abra photobomb. And yes, this Abra photobomb can be shiny, I know from experience, but we'll get into that a little bit later. I guess I should mention that there was technically a bundle during this Community Day, but I don't barely even want to mention it because it really sucks. For 1,280 coins, you get 3 Incense, 3 Super Incubators, 3 Ultra Balls, and the debut of the Elite Charge TM. Now, you may be wondering, Jackie K, I thought you were so excited for the Elite Charge TM. Why did you not buy this bundle, let alone not even want to talk about it? Well, dear viewer, I think it boils down to the fact that I don't think an Elite Charge TM is worth $10. Imagine before raids were a thing, and the only way you could get TMs were to buy them, the normal TMs, off the shop for like $1 or so. It just doesn't really seem like something you should be able to buy first and foremost, because you don't buy TMs, you have to buy the pass and then earn them from either raid or Go Battle League or something like that. Like, it just doesn't feel right to have these sorts of items be tied behind a paywall. But that part I can get over. The part that I don't like was just, you have to be interested in the Elite Charge TM in order to buy this bundle, because the 3 Incubators and 3 Incense don't even cover the cost of this bundle. Maybe if you include the Ultra Balls, but I tend not to, because I don't typically think of Pokeballs in general as an item that you should buy from the shop. So yeah, if you just look at the value you get from buying 3 Super Incubators and 3 Incense, it would still be cheaper to do that, especially since Incense are currently discounted, than it would be to buy this bundle. You have to be dedicated to buying the Elite Charge TM if you want to get this bundle. And that's the reason I didn't buy it. I am rank 8 in Go Battle League, so while I don't think I'll be able to get to rank 10 before the event is over, I am going to at least be high enough rank to get my own Elite Charge TM, so I won't feel like I've been missing out too much on it. It's a little disappointing because there's definitely plenty of Pokemon I can think of that I want to specifically use an item like Elite Charge TM on, but it's been harder and harder for me to justify spending money on the game as is, so trying to get me to spend my coins on a single item that I'll use once, and all it'll do is change a Pokemon's move. It's just harder. It's even harder for me to justify the cost of that than it is to justify the cost of other consumable items, like the Incense or the Incubators. Again, it wouldn't be an issue, and I probably would actually buy this bundle if I felt like I got my value out of the other items, like if we got enough Incense and Incubators to cover the 1,280 Pokecoin cost, that would have been an amazing bundle. Heck, like, if you want to give us that many Incense and Super Incubators, throw some items that people don't care about, like a Poffin or a Rocket Radar. Now that I say that out loud, though, I get the feeling they didn't do that because they didn't want to take away from the Investigating Illusion rewards. But I'm just trying to throw examples out there. It doesn't have to be Incubators or Incense. If you gave us items that cover the cost of this bundle, even if they weren't the most valuable items in the game, and then also included the Elite Charge TM, that would have been an offer I couldn't refuse. Yikes. We're already at 20 minutes and I didn't even talk about my actual experience with the event. I'll see if I can just go for that real quick. I don't want to rush it, but I don't want to be here forever either. So I think it'd be easier to start from the beginning and go forward, even if it's a little repetitive here and there. So I'm getting ready, I'm all set to just go out and walk in a park that's still open, with the hopes of being able to keep a safe social distance but still be able to enjoy the exercise as well as the game. But the dog fell asleep, and no one else was home, and I didn't really feel like waking the dog up to put him away just so I could leave the house. So I just ended up starting Abra Community Day at my own house. And man, can I tell you, you don't have to worry about missing out on shiny if you're stuck at home, because there's 2 spawns in the house. And I did a gold snapshot. I just knew Niantic was like talking about like, oh, take fun photos and post them on our Twitter and it'll be fun. So I decided just to take a cute little photo of my normal Abra just sitting next to the dog while he's napping. And wouldn't you know it, I get photobombed by a shiny Abra. And I click on the other spawn. That Abra was also shiny. I don't think it was my literal first Abra of the event, but the literal second and third Abra of my community day were shiny. When I did eventually leave, I probably did miss out on maybe an hour or so of catching shiny Pokemon. Simply because I really took my time going up to the park. Like, I stopped by a gas station to pick up some pop along the way. Decided to get a snack because it was right around lunchtime. Just ate in my car and then drove out to the park. The park was fairly quiet and empty to begin with, at least. So there was definitely plenty of room to walk and keep a safe distance. I just went around like taking snapshots, finding fun areas to put Abras in. One thing I kind of wish that they were able to do was just extend how many photobombs were in the area. So it was basically like the first 5 photobombs, or the first 5 sets of photos you take with your Pokemon had the Abra photobomb. What would have been cool if they kind of had that on rotation, kind of like how they did with your buddy bringing Pokeballs. And like even with just every hour instead of every half hour, you could take 5 more snapshots and get 5 more Abras. That would have especially been useful for the stay at home crowd. But I did enjoy what I was able to get. Able to like get outside and get some fresh air while still being able to play the game safely, and that shiny luck from home definitely assured that they definitely did their best to make sure that this game was playable from home just as much as it was out in the park and that. Honestly, probably should have put that, if I realized that the instance was going to last 3 hours, I probably should have put that on before I even left the house. I wouldn't have mind having 2 incense running instead of 1. I guess it worked out for the end because I was just about ready to head home by the time my first and only incense was running out. But yeah, point being, it was a fun event. Whenever I'm able to be able to get to a park and be at ease that I can walk safely, it just gives me a throwback to the good old days of community. I know for a lot of people, Pokemon Go is at its highest when they're outside and with friends. But for me, just being outside is good in itself. And there's a bit of enjoyment and a little bit of solo tranquility. A lot of that's just related to my personality and just being the type of person who re-energizes best alone. Not to say that I'm antisocial, but especially when I'm out walking, like, there's some charm with walking with friends, but I definitely have a lot of appreciation towards walking by myself as well. I would say that I post them, but I'm pretty sure that this is only going to go up on the audio formats, so that's kind of leaves me in an awkward situation to post the pictures. I'll try them. I've been procrastinating posting them on Twitter and Instagram as is, so I'll have them up on there. My site will have details where my Instagram is, and at the very least my Twitter feed should be in there, but it's I'm sure by the time this podcast goes up, the photos will be a bit buried down in my feed. Now, you know what, I will make a blog post specifically. I'll either link the specific Instagram post where I post my community photos on, or do something in the show notes so you have a direct link to those pictures, because I had some pretty fun ones. I wish I would have taken more at home to just go along with that whole stay-at-home spirit that they were trying to promote, but I guess the point at the end of the day, I played safe. People who weren't able to go outside were still able to play, so it worked out for everyone. I have been walking significantly less since everything's gone down, so it's just always refreshing when I actually do have a good opportunity to go out and walk. Like, I've stopped doing my walk in between my commute to work and back. Mostly because they closed the park that I like to go to along the way up there. And a lot of the other parks, there isn't really enough room to safely social distance while walking. And I'm definitely not going up to that college campus until everything goes down, which really kills my ability to catch like I used to. And also interact with the community, because especially within the past couple months before the whole COVID situation went down, I felt like I was more in touch with the community that played around that college campus than I was with some of the more local areas. But on the tangent of being able to reconnect with the local areas, I think the biggest surprise happened near the end of my walk. Like, within the last hour, I got a text from my old trading buddy, who I haven't really seen since the COVID situation come down, asked if they wanted to do trades. I was a little hesitant just because, like, it was a long walk as is, and I kind of wanted to just go home. But I decided to stop by on my way over. Mind you, I did make sure to practice safe social distancing with that particular interaction. Like, I sadly didn't even get to see the person that I normally trade with. Well, we've done the past couple times. There was one time before COVID really got down, but was in the news, and what we ended up doing was, they sat from in their house, and I pulled up in my car to their parking lot, and we traded Pokemon that way. I just didn't even feel like doing that for a while, once COVID got serious after that, at least in this country serious. Again, that's more... Please don't instigate me here. That's more of a topic that I'd rather go into a gaming show or something like that. But point being, that's how we were able to do it. We didn't even, like, physically interact at all. I was in my car, they were in their house, and we traded Pokemon that way. Basically what we did was just swap Abra/Kadabras, because my trading buddy kind of had the misconception that you had to evolve it from Abra to... That had to be a Kadabra when you traded it in order to get the 0 candies to evolve it to Alakazam, but no. It can be traded as an Abra and you still get that bonus. So we did quite a few swaps and got 2 lucky Abra/Kadabras out of it. One of my luckies were actually pretty good, so I made sure to evolve that one up. A real good PvP IV I got. It was a shiny too. A freaking shiny Abra was like ranked number 60 for the Great League. Mind you, as I think I said earlier, Alakazam is more suited for Master League, but I mean, with a shiny Abra that good and not even needing any candy to power it up, I'm willing to try it. I have already tried it. You guys will probably see me do a video of trying it / podcast eventually. So yeah, it was a pretty good night for me overall. I can't even remember how many shinies I had anymore. Definitely over 15. I think it was actually closer to 19 though. I'll see if I can double check, because it'll be a little hard to tell because I haven't transferred any yet. But I have sent some of my shiny Abras over to the Let's Go games already. And with them being involved too, it's probably going to take a minute to gather them all, to count them up. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I got 10 still sitting in Pokemon Go between unevolved and fully evolved. 3 that I've already transferred to Pokemon Home. And 3 more that are still sitting in the Let's Go games. So unless one of them got lost in the void, that's 16 shiny Abras. Which, I forget how many I got on Rhyhorn Day. Definitely rivals that. I might have gotten slightly more on Rhyhorn Community Day. But there also was the fact that I was like playing... I didn't really start grinding until I got to the park, which was probably like maybe 2 o'clock. And I didn't play I only played like 3 hours at the park. And it was a bit more casual of a playthrough than in some past community days. Especially because I played with 0 lures. I think that's the big takeaway. These Abra spawns were just solely between what I was getting in research, normal encounters, and Incense spawns. And the fact that is, when I did Rhyhorn game day, and I think I got 20 shinies on Rhyhorn community day, even though that event was only 3 hours, while this event was 6 hours, I was playing a lot more hardcore. I was playing in an area much more condensed with Pokemon, and had all the Pokestops lured up. So I'm still fairly impressed with all that. And it's always nice when it's a community day revolving around a Gen 1 Pokemon, Because in those cases, I can just dump them all into my Let's Go Eevee game, and then in the Pokemon Home. And I don't have to clog off my Pokemon Go storage. I still gotta figure out what I want to do with it. Like, I was thinking about doing something special with some of my shiny Rhyhorns during that community day. But the closest I was able to do was like post a picture of donating blood, and I'll trade you a shiny Rhyhorn. But that didn't really work out. Like, social distancing making it way too hard to get people to go donate blood more than ever. And I'll be honest, I'm not the most popular content creator. I'm probably not going to get enough attention to actually get someone to actually do that, and it's kind of an odd request in and of itself. But I just couldn't think of a better way to, like, try to donate it shiny for charity. So I'll do something, maybe even if it's just more of a community day than a charity thing, like tweet out a room and just like invite everyone to come in to try to get the shiny from a Pokemon Home trading room or something. I'll figure out something. Between the Rhyhorns and the Abras, I'll have plenty of Pokemon to experiment around with at least. And I'll also be able to keep a couple to just like use as trading fodder to try to complete my Pokemon Home decks. That's a fun challenge in of itself, considering I don't own Pokemon Sword nor Pokemon Shield. So one of my main goals is just to see how many Pokemon from the Galar region I can get, just between Wonder Trades and the GTS and similar features like that. That's been a bit of a fun experience in of itself, but it's a bit off tangent. That's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about in regards to Abra Community Day. And considering I recorded both the Incense Day podcast and this right afterwards, I think I need a little break from my commentary. Voice getting a bit dry despite like going through 3 glasses of water already. I think it's a good time to take a break. So I'll bid you all adieu for now. Thank you all for tuning in. If you like what you see or hear, be sure to support on whatever platform you're listening to this from, whether it be like 5-star rating on iTunes or whatever the equivalent is on other platforms. And feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or some other medium. I'm in quite a few different places on the web, and I do have a website that helps organize all the different places I am and what I do on each of those sites that's worth checking out. All that should be in the show notes. Until we meet again, though, take care.